So, who's up for a wee spot of bonage? Thought you might be. Let's do this. So there's this guy, some scholarly type, who seems to think that he has the best reply you can give to an atheist ever. Really? Well, let's give him a shot, shall we?
If your students know 5% of all there is to know, it means that they don't know 95% of all there is to know. Intellectually, is that a good argument? Yeah, if you know 5%, you don't know 95%. Now let me ask you my next question. If by your own admission your students only know 5% of all there is to know, could it be possible that God exists in the 95% of the knowledge they don't have?
Is it possible? Yeah, I suppose it's possible. But here's the thing. Until you put that God of yours into the 5% I do know, I'm not going to believe in the fucker. It's that simple. And I have to ask you, why would it be that you'd believe in that God when you don't have that knowledge?
Now, okay, let's suppose you only have two alternatives. Alternative number one. Your first alternative is that you live and you die. And that's it. You're dead.
5%, pal. That's all we see. That's in the 5% we know. Prove to me there's more. If you can.
You live, you die. You're an advanced animal.
Advanced animal, eh? Meow.
You're maybe a little more intelligent than
You?
the animal creation.
Oh.
But you live and die and that's it.
I see nothing else. Prove to me there's more. Don't just say it. Don't just speculate. Prove it. Just because there's a lot we don't know, it doesn't mean you're justified in making shit up, pal.
Your second alternative is
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear this shit.
that there's a loving God that loves you and cares for you.
Wishful thinking. Pure and simple.
And although you can't explain all the questions of life,
Frankly, I'd be shocked if you could explain the questions in a game of Trivial Pursuit.
you can't explain often why bad things happen to good people.
It's 'cause the universe is a cold and unfeeling place where sometimes random shit happens, and sometimes that random shit is bad. What, you think there's deliberate intent behind everything? Don't be stupid. I mean, okay, sure, sometimes people are assholes, but sometimes it's just that life sucks.
The second possibility is that there is a loving God that cares for you. And when ultimately you die, he has incredible happiness prepared for you from all eternity.
And while we're engaging in wishful thinking, I'd like Santa Claus to bring me a spaceship for Christmas.
Now, I'm not asking you to believe, I'm just asking you one of two questions. If you could choose one of those two, if they both were believable,
Well, that's a pretty big if there, pal, 'cause they're not both believable. Your second option is bullshit.
and you could choose one of the two, to live, not understand pain, suffering, go through life alone, and die and have worms eat your body,
So in other words, believe observable reality,
or have a sense of your worth in the sight of a supreme being,
if your worth is dependent on someone else's opinion, especially your imaginary friends, that's pretty pathetic, pal. I create my own self-worth.
and one day, if you die, know that you will live with him forever in eternity.
Let me get this straight. You're gonna live with your holy father for all eternity? Sounds a little creepy to me. I always thought you religious types were against homosexuality, incest, and pedophilia. Just saying.
If those were your only two choices, and if both were believable, which would you choose?
You know what? I'm still taking the first option, because your God has a lot of expectations that I'm not down with, and I want to carve my own path through life.
They said, well, we'd be a fool not to choose a second alternative if both were believable.
So what? Both aren't believable, so it's a bullshit question anyway.
Then I said, look, first, you're not an atheist, because an atheist says, I know God doesn't exist.
Here we are with these stupid fucking word games again. Man, they love this shit. I'm an atheist, not an atheosist. I am not atheist. Whatever you want to call that, that's what I am. I'm not a believer.
So you're not an atheist. At best, you're an agnostic.
Gnosticism addresses knowledge, theism addresses belief. I am an agnostic because I lack knowledge of God. I'm an atheist because I lack belief in God. Cope.
Secondly, you're not even an agnostic, because an agnostic says God may not exist, but I don't even care if he does or he doesn't.
And once again with the stupid word games, telling people what they are instead of letting them define themselves.
But you just told me you did care, that if there was this more abundant life, so what you really are seekers.
What I am is sick of your shit. Maybe if you'd knock it off with the word games and stop trying to redefine everything so that you can tell people what they are instead of letting them define it for you, then maybe I'd think you were interested in a genuine, honest back and forth. But I don't suspect that in the least, given your tactics.
And that's why the Lord sent me to you today.
Return to sender. There. Until next time, fellow space travelers. Vote me down and I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.